Okay, welcome. Hi, thanks for joining. My name is Gary Taylor. I'm a solution architect at Megaport. And in today's tech drop-in, I'm going to provide a brief overview of Megaport and what we do. I'll then focus on one of our core service offerings, and then I'll do a demo at the end. Obviously, any questions, please drop them in the Q&A section and I'll answer them at the end. Okay, so who is Megaport? We are a networking as a service provider. We essentially give customers the ability to build global layer 2 networks where you connect to cloud, to other parts of your own network, to suppliers or any third-party vendor. We also provide cloud-to-cloud capabilities, as well as virtual compute services, where we deploy NFV capabilities, which I'll run into in more depth later on. We do this via a fully self-serve portal, as well as full API integration, and we have a Terraform provider for increased automation if that is needed. With Megaport, you can scale up, scale down services, you can delete services, migrate, change VLAN IDs, you could shift capacity. We offer very flexible terms. So our bandwidth service, you could do if you choose a no contract option, so essentially 1 hour billing, or for reduced rates, you could do 1, 2, and 3-year terms. Everything is fully secure. We run our own backbone, and we do not resell another vendor's MPLS network. So here's a quick snapshot to show you our global reach. You can access Megaport in over 850 locations across the globe. Please note here, where it says installed, what that actually means is that's where we have our own physical equipment in the data center, and you can interconnect directly with Megaport there. And then for the enabled locations, that's pretty much where we have access via extended Ethernet services, typically a Metro Connect or a Campus Connect. And obviously that just provides additional scope for connecting back to Megaport. Beyond these regions and countries, I would say Italy is next very soon, and then we've got 1 or 2 other countries in the pipeline as well. So for today's session, I'm actually going to run through what is our global WAN as a service. So this really delivers dynamic bandwidth capacity across the globe or within Metro if you need it. And then at the end of it, I'm going to do a quick demo and deliver 1 or 2 examples from which I'm going to be talking about now. So here we have an example there, of a typical global design where we have physical interconnects via megaports. So megaports are physical deployment of services, and it's delivered on capacity. So it's essentially an interconnect in 400 plus data centers around the world. And there we would have where you would actually order the megaport. We create a letter of authorization, which you then give to the data center provider, and they build the cross connect into, or they connect the cross connect into your co-location and into the Megaport device, and then you're on net. That normally takes 1 or 2 days, but we allow up to 2 weeks as a standard period for the delivery of that. So focusing on this example here, what we've got is, if we take a look at Dallas, we've got a customer connecting to their on-prem via Megaports in these 2 locations. We then have an MCR, and MCR is our acronym for Megaport Cloud Router. And this is a layer 3 virtualized routing instance. It provides, high performance, low cost cloud to cloud or cloud to on-prem routing, you could say. And in this case here, what we're doing is the customers are connecting via on-prem into the MCR. The MCR is handling connectivity back to Azure. So this is via an express route service. And then from there, from Dallas, it connects back into Frankfurt and Singapore. And if you look at Ashburn here, and this is something I'm going to do a bit of a demo later on, Ashburn is a fully virtualized deployment. We have an MCR sitting locally. It's connecting via express route into Washington, the Washington, D.C. region for Azure. That's the primary. And then we have a backup going all the way from Dallas. So you could actually, from a disaster recovery point of view, you have a backup capability there as well. And then this is repeated globally around the world. And obviously in this specific example, we have local regions connecting via megaports and serving the MCR. The MCR, we also have a VNF, so a virtual network function service, which we call Megaport Virtual Edge. And this is a virtual compute service. And if you need complex routing or you need to extend SD-WAN networks, we offer that capability as well. And that's based on capacity, so 2 core up to 12 core. And we host all the most popular vendors. So Cisco, Fortinet, Palo Alto, Aruba, VMware, and Versa as well. So I'm actually going to do a demo of this service now. And I'm going to build a port and connect back. And then what I'll do is I'll create an MCR, and I'll choose Ashburn as well. And this pretty much is a true real-time deployment of this example. I would say to do this in total, maybe half an hour to an hour. And if you're running Terraform, obviously, it's much, much quicker. That's it. So I'll go into the demo now, and I'll just go full screen, and I'll go here, and I'll go into full screen. So this is a Megaport portal. This is the dashboard view. So it's a nice holistic view of all the services that you have. Obviously, this is our demo portal. So there's a lot of activity and a lot of services that are being deployed. Everything in blue and green is a service that is live and has been commissioned or configured rather. Everything in black is the services that are available in that region. You can actually remove that, and you can actually see what you've actually deployed here as well. And if we just take a look at the green, that is a VXC, which is our name for VLAN, so Virtual Cross Connect. And in this case here, we're connecting to AWS and connecting back to another location on the network here. And then if we go to look at Europe here as well, go in, these are the services that are live. So we've got some inter-region VLANs running. We've got some local traffic running as here. And if you need to look at what is available, this just gives you a bit more detail on what additional services you could actually consume from this location. You can sort via what is 100 gig port if you need that. So these are all the locations where we have 100 gig access. You can also filter via the MCRs. And as I mentioned, our virtual edge service as well, you could actually filter on the virtual edge. If you wish, you could actually filter via data center provider on that one. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to build a port, connect back to another port, and then I'm going to build an MCR. Obviously, any questions, please drop them in the chat at any time or in the Q&A. So I'm going to go into services, and this is just a linear view of what we have deployed. I've actually done this one already, so I've just deployed a Megaport in New York, and I'm going to connect from Amsterdam into New York, just to show you the global WAN as a service capability. So first thing we do here is we click on Create Port. While we're here, I'll show you the services as well. It's MCR, that's our Megaport Cloud Router, and then MVE as well, which is where you can connect to our virtual edge capability. So we go Create Port. We click on, I'll choose Netherlands, and for today, I'm going to go into Iron Mountain, which is northeast Amsterdam. And this port speed, so here we have 10 or 100, and I'm just going to go write this EMEA Tech Live. And Megaport Marketplace, this is where if you wanted to make your port public, so other customers can actually search and find your services. So if you want to resell your services or you need to advertise your services, if you make it public here, they can search, they can connect to you. What would then happen is they would choose to connect, and in your portal, you would have a request from a customer, and you can connect that way. These are the terms. You need to choose the capacity, and this gives the rates. And if you need diversity, so in the case of Iron Mountain, we have diversity, and that just basically means that we will guarantee separate backhaul connections from the 2 physical endpoints onto our core network, and they are fully separate and fully diverse. For the demo, obviously, I won't do that. We support lag. If you need to lag the services, we support up to 8 ports in a lagged environment. Anything beyond 3 ports is typically cheaper to do 100 gig. So beyond the cost savings with Megaport, you also get cross-connect savings as well, because obviously in the case of 3 lags, you're paying 3 cross-connects, while with 100 gig, you'd pay for 1 cross-connect. Right, so we click on Next. Oops, I don't want to create a lag, so we go back. Still saying create lag. There. Click on Next. We add the port. And then we click Order. And this just gives you another way of, if you need to check pricing or you want to save a design, you could save it on the left-hand side and you can actually save the configuration as well. So this is now deploying in real time. I will just do a quick filter on this. I'll just wait for it to just refresh my page. Okay. I'm just going to wait for it to deploy. There's obviously a lot of activity. So there's a lot of API requests going through. If you take a look at the total number of services, we have over 100. So it's quite busy in delivering that. While we're waiting for that to deploy, there's a couple of questions that have been raised. I'm just going to answer them now. So the first question is, can I create services with more bandwidth than a port can support? And the answer is yes. So every Megaport can do 100 VLANs. You can oversubscribe, which basically means that you can actually, contend your network severely if you wish. We don't limit the capacity on any level. On a 10 gig port, you could create multiple 10 gig VLANs. Obviously, it's not recommended because there's significant services being at risk if the customers are all trying to deliver their capacity that they've paid for. But you can create more bandwidth than you need or more capacity. And you can. The other question that's been raised is, can a Megaport act as an access port? And yes, you can create an untagged port. More accurate way of saying it's transparent mode, but yes, you can deliver an access port. So the service is now deployed. A LOA has been created. You would give this to your DC provider, and then they would plug that in. I'm just going to filter the services. And I've built this one already. That's in New York. And what I've done at the same time, I've actually delivered an internet feed connecting out of New York into that Megaport. Obviously, there's no cross connects plugged in, so the service is not live. What I'm going to do now, just to really go into that, focus on the global WAN as a service deployment, we click on connection. And here we've got a choice of connecting to cloud, to a private VXC. So VXC, as I said, is our name for VLAN. We also have the options of connecting to one of our IXs. So if you have your own ASN and you want to use and take advantage of Megaport IX, you could do that here. The Megaport Marketplace, this is where you would actually search and connect to third-party providers. And then a service key, this is where if you wanted to connect to a customer or a supplier that's also on Megaport, you would connect. They would give you a service key, which they create in their Megaport portal. You type it in here and then you connect. Essentially, it's an NNI pretty much in real time. So focusing on the global WAN, here I click on private VXC. I'm in Amsterdam, and these are all the services that are deployed at the moment in my portal, but I'm going to go to the USA. And there's a lot of activity. And if I find my EMEA here, tech drop-in, click next. I'm going to say this, call this global WAN 1. And, we only need 100 meg. And then we can deliver VLAN 100 here, and we'll just do VLAN 200 here. And you can actually shut down the VXC, so you can actually deploy it in a shutdown state, so essentially admin down. But for demo purposes, we'll do that here. And then if I do the no term option, this just gives me the ability to actually increase and decrease the capacity in real time. On a term contract, you can only increase it. So it goes back to order, and we click order. It validates and makes an API call. We click order now. And that's deploying, and that's pretty much global WAN. At the moment, it's 100 meg. You can obviously scale that up to 10 gig. And I'll give that a couple of minutes to deploy. One thing I can look at as well, just focusing on that example, is build an MCR, which is what we delivered in Ashburn. I'm just trying to wait for it. Yeah. Let me check if there's been any additional questions. No, there isn't. Actually, there's one just come in. So the question is, how do I connect if you're not in the same DC? So as I mentioned earlier, you would look at extended reach, and typically that would be a metro connect or a campus connect, and you would speak to your telco, speak to your data center, and then typically they or your telco would deliver a service from another data center. Quite often we have multiple choices of telcos and carriers that are available in both locations, so you're pretty much on net, and you just need to agree terms and contract options, and you can connect via that option as well. I think that's going to be it for now, because it's taking a bit of time. Yeah, any questions? I've answered the question. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining.